Everybody doing tonight? Welcome to another edition of Chords and Chrome. I'm your host, Bruce Outridge. We are taking our Peterbilt on down the road. We're going back in time, and we are going to check out some of the old trucking. When did those old trucking songs come around? When did they start? Who had the first one? And we're actually going to be doing a bit of a feature on Red Simpson. As you know, he is one of the classics when it comes to truck driving. So we're going to be playing some old tunes for you today. But we are going to get started with some new artists for sure, because we got a couple great artists. We've got Kelly Gannon. Kelly Gannon is our preferred artist for this week. Kelly is out in Alberta actually, and is a drummer. Plays for a number of different bands and fills in on different musical things. So he doesn't necessarily have his own, but he was with playing with a group called Trio Avenue. We're going to play one of his. We've also got our preferred artist of the month, Crackerbox Jimmy. We brought him on this month, so welcome, Crackerbox. You've seen him here on the show before, but he is now a regular artist, if you will, on our stuff. So we're going to get started with some stuff. If you're on our socials, we want you to click the link and get on with the show. Make sure you join us for the rest of the show. We're going till 8 o'clock, and we're going to start off right after this with some Trio Avenue. So let's get going. I'll give you a minute to get settled. Here we go.
You're listening to the Chords and Chrome Show on Lead Pedal Radio.
You're having a good one. As I was mentioning, my friend, now I met Kelly years ago. Him and I are both caricature artists, so we actually draw for a living, and he also is a musician. I find people who are musicians and artists do a lot of different things, just like I do, and we hit it off. We used to go to a place called ISCA, which is the International Society of Caricature Artists. That's where I met Kelly. We'd go to a convention every year. We'd hang out. We missed half the seminars because we prefer just to go have a beer, and he's just a cool guy, and he actually does a lot of the cruise ship stuff. So you'll see him on the cruise ships doing his art. If you're in Alberta, he's probably either doing his art or he's playing as a drummer in a band doing his thing. But he's been a great guy. He sent so many great interviews our way, like Rich Redman and a number of others. So I thought, you know what? Let's just find out exactly. We made him a preferred artist because the people who are supporting our show is who we want to support. So thank you, Kelly, for all your support. And here's one. You'll remember this one. It's called by Trio Avenue, which is the group he plays with. It's called You Got It. You got it. It's a great song by Trio Avenue. You Got It. As you know, it's probably an old Motown song for sure. They play a lot of that. So before we get into our feature about our old trucks and stuff, we brought on Crackerbox Jimmy. You probably know Crackerbox Jimmy. He's been on the show before. He used to be a truck driver. He's still driving, I think, but I think he's just doing like delivery van stuff. He's not driving anymore, but very passionate about the trucks. Drove for a long time, lives out in California, and had a chance to speak to him not too long ago. And just want to play a little bit of that interview I did with him where he was talking about the passion behind the trucking, which is how he writes his trucking songs.
That thing never got stuck. It was a monster. I loved it. I found out had an old series, Series 60 Detroit in it, and it finally blew up and got sold for parts.
I remember.
I was kind of sad.
I remember those 60 Series Detroit for sure. Yeah. So was that the first truck that you wrote about? Was that one of your first songs? What was your very first song that you wrote about?
Oh boy, the first song that I can remember writing, I was sitting in the cab of a truck in Defiance, Ohio, at a General Motors foundry, and wrote a song about how I really just wished I was home.
A lot of us felt that way on our first trip.
Oh yeah. That's, I had my truck with me, and that's what I did, I had my guitar with me. And when I got stuck anywhere for any length of time, just pulled that out and start playing, start writing.
Yeah. Okay. So are you considered a Kenworth guy or a Peterbilt guy? Because you've got a song about a dream Kenworth too. So what's going on here? Which is our favorite?
Well, when it comes right down to it, for body style and looks, I'm a fan of the old Freightliner XLs. Those nice long hooded Freightliners.
The first ones that came out, I had one of those. They were really nice, extended.
Yeah. I've driven a lot of Pete's, and other than that old 93, to tell you the truth, I really don't care for them. I don't care what anybody says. It's not my style. I've driven some Kenworths. I love driving old Kenworths.
Yeah.
The older the truck, the happier I am. I like one that's well broken.
All right, there you go. The happier he is. Here's this song called Fool. Maybe that's why he's so happy. Crackerbox Jimmy for tonight. So where did all of those old truck driving songs come from? When did they start? So it's actually a subgenre of country and western. So you've heard of country and western. In the 50s, country and western was really big. And then they started kind of like, if you think of Willie Nelson's On the Road Again, that's not really a truck driving song. It's a song about the road. It's a good song, but it's not really a truck driving song. So when you start adding in some of the CB lingo and some of the actual destinations and talking about the washrooms and the meals and the waitresses and all those kind of things, then it became truck driving and it kind of went down to another. Did you have those tapes? We all had those tapes. I know you had them. I had them. I had records and tapes. There you go. But it was really all about, and then of course you've got the DOT and the all of the enforcement and the bears and all that kind of stuff got into it, and at that point it created its own subculture within country and western. Some of our biggest ones here, of course, you guys know these names: Dave Dudley, Red Sylvain, Terry Fell, Dick Curlis, Red Simpson, Del Reeves, the Willis Brothers, Jerry Reed, Junior Brown, Commander Cody, C.W. McCall, and much more. Now, what was the first truck driving song? The first truck driving song, my friends, actually started in 1939. It's called Truck Driver Blues. And this was written by Cliff Bruner, and his boys recorded the country track in 1939. Ted Daffin wrote the song. Sorry, Cliff recorded it, but Ted Daffin wrote the song. And it was the first track about a commercial long-haul drivers. I've got the David Frizzell version up here for you. Let's listen to that song, Truck Driver Blues. That's got to be one of the most famous ones. There's lots like Moving On and all that are on there, but they say, according to Bill Malone, 6 Days on the Road was not the first truck driving song. Malone credits Truck Driver Blues that we just played came out in 1940, and Truck Driving Man by Terry Fell and White Line Fever by Merle Haggard as the songs that would rival that first one, if you're looking at that. But they said 6 Days on the Road set off a vogue for such songs that continued for many years. The truck driving songs kind of started because of that. And we can all relate to 6 Days on the Road because that's what you do. Most drivers are on the road for 6 days at a time. So the trucking songs coincide with the country music's growing identification as a working man's music in the 60s. And that's how it got started. Now, moving on, and you've got people like Alabama, Dan Seals, Ronnie Millsap, all of those, Kathy Mattea, they've all continued that on along with all of our great artists that we have. Here's another great one here, Diesel Driving Duncan Dan. That is got to be a country song. All right, let's see how well you've been listening. I got some trivia questions for you, and one of them I already gave you the answer, so if you don't get that, it's your own problem. All right, so here we go. Here's 3 rapid-fire trivia questions from our friends over at Driver Check. What was the very first trucking song? What was the very first trucking song? All right. Number 2. Which decades were the best for truck driving music? Which decades were the best for truck driving music? And 3rd, in 1954, there was a song that was basically the standard as the truck driving song of that year, 1954. What song was it? All right, there's some rapid fire trivia for you. You think about it. I'll come back and tell you right after this one, and I know you'll know this song. And of course, that song done on stage with a CB radio was a way of solidifying into the audience and to the public that, hey, this is what's really going on that talk box. So, all right, I promised I'd tell you what those trivia questions were. We had 3 trivia questions from Driver Check. First one, what was the very first trucking song? Which song is regarded as the first hit trucking song? Truck Driver Blues, 1939 is the first one. Number 2, which decades were the best for trucking music? The 60s and the 70s. 60s and the 70s were when there was a lot of songs in country music about hard-working men, and of course the subculture of trucking went into that. And our last one was in 1954. There was a song that was fairly considered a standard in the subculture of truck driving. What was it called? Truck Driving Man. That's what it was called. All right, there you go. Okay, we're going to continue with our Red Simpson feature. Tell you all about that guy right after I play this song by Commander Cody and his Lost Airmen, Semi-Truck.
All right, here's our first truck driving song of the evening, folks. We got the truck drivers here tonight. This little song called Took 3 Vintage and My Semi-Truck Won't Start.
Music for people behind the wheel.
Oh, they're still hollering. You know that must have been a fun place to be in, don't you think? For sure. All right, so let's bring us to our feature. So tonight we're going to talk about Red Simpson. Red has been part of the truck driving lifestyle, well, since the 60s, for sure, right? And, you know, he's from Bakersfield, California, and it's funny how he got into this because his real name, Joe Cecile Red Simpson, March 6th, 1934 to 2016, and known for his trucker themed, born in Higley, Arizona, and was raised in Bakersfield, California, youngest of 12 children. At 14, he wrote his first song. Now, that's impressive right there. However, his father helped him listen to Ludwig van Beethoven. Simpson was working at the Wagon Wheel in Lamont when a Fuzzy Owen saw him and arranged for Simpson to work at his Clover Club as a piano player. He then got a job replacing Buck Owens at the Blackboard Club on weekends, and Simpson was influenced by Owen. So the two of them, Merle Haggard, Bill Woods, they all influenced Simpson's music. And if he could write a song about driving trucks, by the time Simpson he was asked if he could write songs about trucks. So he wrote 4 songs about trucks. For someone who's never driven trucks, you know, again, we keep coming back to this, right? By the time Simpson had 4 songs, though, they decided not to use them. They decided that they weren't recording anymore. And so he kind of teamed up with Buck Owens in 1962. In 65, Capitol Records producer Ken Nelson was looking for someone to record some songs about trucking because, of course, it was hot in the 60s. And his first choice was Haggard. Merle Haggard wasn't interested. That's kind of interesting. But Simpson readily agreed. And Tommy Collins, his first Tommy Collins truck roll became a country 40 country, top 40 country hit is what I'm trying to say. And Simpson recorded an album of the same name. That year, he offered up 2 more trucking songs, both which made it to the top 50. This guy has a knack for this, don't you think? And he, as a songwriter, he scored his first #1 hit with Sam's Place, recorded by Buck Owens. After that, Simpson decided to become full-time writer. He returned to performing in 71 with his top 5 hit, I'm a Truck, one of my favorites. So I'm going to play his first song, Roll, Truck, Roll, is the one that's going to start us off. Here we go. Red Simpson. Very cool, very cool. I like that one for sure. So that was 71 when he put out I'm a Truck, which has got to be, I think, probably one of my favorite songs from Red Simpson for sure. And then in 72, he debuted in the Grand Ole Opry and had 2 more truck hits for Capitol and Warner Brothers and released Truck Driver's Heaven the following year. He teamed up with Lorraine Weldon for a series of duets that included Truck Driver, Man and Wife. I'm sure they would have called it Team Driving. Anyway, in 79, he appeared for the last time on the charts with the Flying Saucer Man and the Truck Driver. I could see where things were going downhill and he may need to regroup. Haggard recorded his song Lucky Old Colorado in 1988, and later that year, he was diagnosed with skin cancer and underwent surgery. He fully recovered and continued his writing and performing career. In the mid-1990s, Simpson re-entered the studio to record a pair of duets with Jamie Brown, Junior Brown, and Semi Crazy and Nitro Express. And I think that's one of his big ones too. So let's hear a couple songs from Mr. Red Simpson. Just remember, I am not Red Sylvain. I am Red Simpson. I love that one for sure. All right. Well, listen, that brings us almost to the end of another show. I got a couple songs in there in the can for you here. Yeah, he passed away in 2016 at hospital in Bakersfield after suffering a heart attack. He was 81 years old. So thank you, Red Simpson, for great music, for keeping the trucking culture alive for sure. Hey, I'm going to go out with a couple of his friends. I got one here by Merle Haggard, and we'll see if we can sneak in one by Buck Owens as well. I know you guys know this one here.